I did a first look at the pre-production version of this bike right here about a year ago, and now I've got the full production version and I'm gonna spend some time with it. It's a bike that I'm very fond of. It's the Land Moto District. The Land Moto District is designed and built right here in the USA. It has 17 kilowatts of peak power and a nominal power of 11.5 kilowatts. Battery options include a single 1.8 kilowatt hour, dual 1.8 kilowatt hour, or 5 kilowatt hour battery, all of which are 72 volt. The District is suspended by an inverted, non-adjustable cartridge-style fork and a Fox Float EVOL air shock. It's got 17-inch wheels, front and rear, and this Scrambler build has the optional Shinko 244 dual sport tires. Riders can select a low shock for a seat height of 30 inches or a high shock for a seat height of 31 inches. When the high shock is paired with the Shinko tires on this Scrambler, it gives the bike a seat height of 33 inches. The District weighs between 181 pounds and 217 pounds, depending on which battery you're running. The bike is fitted with Magura dual piston brakes, front and rear. The District comes in a bunch of different configurations, but the current MSRP starts at $7,800. This fully street legal 3.6 kilowatt hour Scrambler model that I'm testing will run you $9,700. And you can find all these bikes for sale on the ECR Marketplace.
All right, startup procedure for the Land Moto District. It's easy as usual because it's an electric motorcycle. You just got to flip the key on here, wait for this nice display to boot up and give you that little tune to listen to. You've got all your standard equipment that you'd find on a street legal motorcycle: turn signals, high, low beams, horn, and a kill switch over here. So to select your power modes, the bike actually, I don't know if you can hear that, but it'll continue to beep or make this kind of tune while the bike is on to remind you, just did it again, remind you that the bike is on. If you put the kickstand down, it makes that noise. And it makes that noise when you flip it back up. But anyways, to start going somewhere, the bike always starts out in neutral, which I will admit is a little bit annoying. Every time you turn the key off, it's going to reset back to neutral. I wish it would just stay in the power mode, but you can easily select that with your thumb right here. So you've got neutral, 1, 2, 3, and the highest power mode is 4, which is where we like to ride. So start off in 4. It's a zippy, I broke the rear tire loose there. It's a zippy bike. It's fun. And as you can see, I'm on a dirt road right now. So we're up here in the mountains of Colorado. This is where I live. Is this the best place for the bike? Probably not, but you are going to want to hear what I have to say next because I do think you're going to want this bike. And before we get into that, I just want to say that our sponsors are what make these videos possible. So before we get into why you need this motorcycle, we're going to take a quick coffee break and hear from the sponsor of this video.
A big shout out to the sponsor of this video. It's Cometeer. Cometeer makes these coffee capsules here. They're flash frozen, really easy to use. All you got to do is pop the top on this, add it to your mug, add some hot water. Simple as that. You've got really good coffee. That easy. Another option is making an iced coffee, which is what I'm going to do today. I let this thing thaw, add some ice to your glass here, and you're going to want to top it off with some water, about 6 to 8 ounces. Rip the top on the Cometeer capsule here. Boom. Give it a little stir. Simple as that. It genuinely is a really good cup of coffee. I'm not blowing smoke. I know this is an advertisement, and I'm no coffee reviewer or anything like that, but I do appreciate a good cup of coffee, and this is a good cup of coffee. So if you want to try Cometeer, check out the description in this video, and you can get a free sleeve of Barista's Choice coffee with your first order when you use the code ECR at cometeer.com. They ship right to your door. They've got a bunch of different roasts that come in customized boxes depending on what your coffee preference is. They've got light, medium, dark roast, and decaf options. All really good stuff, and I've been drinking it a ton. So a big thanks to Cometeer for sponsoring this video. This is seriously what makes the content at ECR possible. So if you support them, you're supporting us, and that's awesome. So check these guys out. It's Cometeer. Now that we're nice and caffeinated, let's get back on the Land Moto and finish this review.
Yeah! Land Moto District, scooting right along. As you can see here, we are in the beautiful mountains of Colorado. Ripping down a dirt road. And is this the best application for the Land Moto District? No, probably not. I mean, it's doing this just fine. It's got knobbies, it can handle the dirt roads just fine. I think there is a better application for this bike. It's a really good downtown cruiser. I think that's the right category to put this bike in. Scooting around town, running errands, meeting up with friends, just going for a local cruise. I feel like that's what this bike does really well. You know, situations where you're keeping the bike under 50-ish miles per hour feels like the sweet spot for this bike. Top speed that I've found it will do is just shy of 70 miles per hour. And obviously you're going to drain your battery pretty quick at that rate, but it's a quick reminder that this is not a highway bike. I think it's a really good city bike. Yeah, you can use it for other purposes. You could use it for commuting. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's like, if there's a bike that I'm going to run around town on, this is the one. This is the one I want to be on. It's got the right amount of power. It's got the right amount of comfort and ease of use. And it just looks damn cool. So suspension on this bike is a bit of a head scratcher to me. The fork feels pretty good. The shock is okay. It's an air shock, which I think is a pretty interesting choice. Yeah, it's going to be lighter equipment than if you're going with a coil shock, but I haven't looked at the exact sizes of this air shock on the bike. I'm wondering if you could swap it out for an equivalent coil shock. Might be something worth considering. I think if I were keeping the bike long term, I would do that. I just feel like I'm having a hard time finding a good, comfortable setting on this. It feels like it doesn't have much rebound, and it feels either way too stiff or way too soft, depending on the air pressure that you're putting in it. That's just first impressions. Yes, maybe with some more time, I could figure out a better way to set this up. But the point is, it hasn't been that easy for me to figure out a good setting on this rear shock. This bike does have the Land Moto Scrambler tire option, which is a little bit more knobby. And yeah, I mean, it handles the pavement just fine too. I'll put it on some dirt here and we can see how it does there, but so far no complaints. I mean, I'd be down just to run these tires, pavement or dirt. Yeah, 0 to 50 miles per hour on this bike is the sweet spot. It's after 50 miles per hour that, it's not that it falls on its face by any means, but that 50 to almost 70 mile per hour zone is definitely at its top end limit. And you're gonna have the most smiles when you're grabbing a handful below 50 miles per hour. If you're a rider that is new to motorcycling, maybe you've always wanted to ride a motorcycle and for one reason or another, you never have. Maybe that's intimidating to you. maybe you don't want the full-size gas bike. This is a perfect bike to learn how to ride a motorcycle, in my opinion. Yes, you've got the tunable power modes where you can go 1 through 4, select something that's desirable to you, but beyond that, it's an electric motorcycle, so there's no gears, there's no clutch, the brakes are up on the handlebars, and that makes it really easy to ride. On top of that, this is not a full-size bike. It's like a mini Street Fighter bike, so it's a little bit smaller. It's got a little bit lower seat height. The ergonomics are a little bit more compact, and that's just confidence inspiring. The bike is really light. If you get it over on end, when you're going slow, in a slow turn or something like that, the bike isn't gonna feel heavy and overwhelming. So yeah, if someone were to come to me and say, hey, I want a street motorcycle, and it's my first bike, and you're looking for an electric option, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a better bike than this right here, the Land Moto District. And this is an interesting category. I know there are a couple more bikes that are coming out in this space. Rivid has a bike that's coming out soon, and Super 73 also teased their C1X, which both bikes look to be in this same category. They're bikes that have decent power, decent specs, but they're a little bit smaller than your normal full-size motorcycle. And I think there's a real reason for these companies to develop bikes like this. They serve a really good purpose for a lot of people that are growing into motorcycling or starting out for their first time. I think that these types of bikes will hopefully get more people on bikes, and I think that's pretty cool. But anyways, here we are on some dirt. This is a pretty smooth, improved dirt road here, but we'll still run around a little bit. I mean, this isn't really a road that I'd shy away from on any motorcycle, so not really an off-road test here. I think you can put knobbies on any motorcycle, and yeah, it always looks cool, right? Like, putting knobbies on a motorcycle makes the bike look more aggressive, and that looks cool. The Land Moto District is no exception there, but yeah, you can pretty much put any bike in any environment if you truly want to. It's just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I mean, I think there's better bikes that you can pick if your goal is to ride a lot of off-road. And on this road in particular, the Land Moto is doing just fine. So, what don't I like about the Land Moto? One thing that is very obvious that I do not like is what I'm about to do. I'm noticing that the bike has a decrease in power right now, which means that battery 1 of 2 is getting low on its capacity. So now I need to switch batteries. I don't really want to stop and do this right now, but I have to. So you gotta shut the bike off, pop open the battery compartment, and now we've got to disconnect all the connections and reconnect it to the second battery. It's not ideal. I mean, it's cool that you can offer this dual battery, and I think it's a way for Land to potentially offer a more affordable option for this bike. If you wanted to just go with the single battery option, you have got that possibility, but I would really prefer to have just one big battery, which is an option. You can get that from Land. That's what I would want to get. But this process is a little bit annoying, and it's also kind of annoying to have to charge 2 batteries. So, something to note there. Real world use.
Speaking of real-world use, let's talk about battery range. I mentioned earlier that there are several different battery configurations for this bike, with the dual 1.8 kilowatt hour option on this bike at high speeds of 55 to 60 miles per hour. In Mode 4, I went 15.4 miles until battery 1 went from 100% to 10%, at which point I then need to switch to the second battery. After both batteries were depleted down to 10%, I had gone a total of roughly 31 miles. When riding around town at lower speeds, but still in Mode 4, my range was improved, seeing roughly 24 miles per 1.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, or a total of 48 miles.
Let's do another top speed run here, shall we? Oh my God, 72 miles per hour. That's the best I've gotten yet. Okay. Oh, I saw 73 for a second there. So that's a little bit downhill at the top life of one of the batteries. So 70 miles per hour is achievable apparently. 72.5 miles per hour to be exact is the new top speed for the Land Moto District. I'm down to 50 miles per hour now though, and that feels like more of a realistic limit where you'd want to stay. It's tough to look at an electric motorcycle and think long range. You know, some of these bigger, heavier motorcycles, it's just a harder sell to me in some regards. Whereas this bike, yeah, if I'm using it around town, I'm not worried about the range as much. And I think when you put bikes in that situation where you're not totally concerned about range, the purpose of the bike is more close to home. I think electric makes a lot more sense in that category because, let's be honest, I won't convince you that you should ditch your gas bike if you're looking for a long distance motorcycle. It's just not sensible. But a bike like this, if you're using it around town, perfect. Why not run an electric? All right, I've spent the better part of an hour on the bike right now, and this is about the point where my rear end is suggesting that I get off the bike. It's starting to not feel as comfortable as it once did. But that's okay. It's about the maximum amount of time that I would plan to spend on this bike anyways. And there is a price to pay for style. Sometimes that's a little bit of comfort. And I'm willing to pay it because I really do love the look of this bike.
Some things I hope to be changed or added to the district would be some improvements on these rear turn signals. I think they look awesome and clean, but each of the two districts that I've ridden had broken turn signals, so it seems that these need to be reinforced somehow. I also really wish the bike had regenerative modes, which is something that Land said that they're testing, and it could be as simple as a software update. I don't want the feature for regenerating power as much as I want to feel some engine braking when I'm decelerating or entering turns.
This is a bike that I 100% wish I had in my garage at all times. I unfortunately have to give this bike back to Land Moto, and that's a shame because I really, really like having this thing to run around my neighborhood on. It's fun, it's got the right amount of snap, it's not too cumbersome, it's really nimble and easy to ride. It's just fun to go rip around on. So if I were wanting a bike where I'm just popping around the neighborhood, I'd be hard pressed to find a better electric motorcycle than this. Who do I think this bike is good for? I think it's for people that are looking for a fun, around town, around city kind of bike, and maybe a step up from a bike like a Super 73 or something of that nature where you're wanting some more power, some more size, you want to ditch the pedals, go for something that's more of a quote-unquote motorcycle, I think this is the bike right here. Yeah, the price is a bit higher, but you're getting a more premium product. Like, this is a really well-made machine. It's made mostly in the United States, which is a really cool feature, and it shows. If you're wanting the full-on motorcycle experience where you're gonna go on maybe longer distances, maybe some more highway speeds, and you want that bigger bike, then yeah, this might not be the right bike for you. You might want to get on something like a Zero or an Energica, something of that nature. But those are big, cumbersome bikes, and I wouldn't want to just go ride that around the city if it were me. I would rather be on something that's nimble and easy to park, easy to ride, easy to swing a leg over. And that is the Land Moto District. So what to say about the Land Moto District that I haven't already covered in this video? I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comment section if there's something I missed or something you want to know. But the bottom line is, I adore this little motorcycle. I think it's a great option for running around your local area and having a lot of fun while doing so. So check these guys out. It's Land Moto. And thank you to Cometeer for sponsoring this video. Thank you to Land Moto for providing the bike. And thanks to everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.